The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Bishop, for 5 minutes of his questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, Chairman Ferguson. I've been hearing from my constituents numerous complaints about the practices of the pharmacy benefit managers, which they say are driving up the prices of drugs, making it harder for small independent pharmacies to stay open, particularly in rural areas where pharmacies are fewer and farther between. Over the past couple of decades, the FTC has allowed vertical integrations within healthcare, leaving only a few companies that not only own PBMs, but also own pharmacies and other healthcare facilities. These big companies have become powerful, and they often threaten small independents with contract termination if they don't conform to reimbursement models and rules. So I'm very pleased that the FTC has taken action to enforce the law on it and to address the PBM excesses. Does the FTC, in your judgment, have sufficient resources, and will this budget give you sufficient resources to address what appears to be a large issue for the affordability of prescription drugs?
I agree with you, especially on the concern about PBMs in rural communities. Just a couple months ago, I went and visited a decades-old independent pharmacy in rural central Virginia, very near where I grew up, and sat with the owner for about an hour and just listened to him explain the situation in which he finds himself. And independent pharmacies are super important to small towns. If you drive down the main street of a small town, post office, a church, a restaurant or two, and the pharmacy. And independent pharmacies in particular for rural communities, that's often the gateway to healthcare. The pharmacist often participates in individual citizens' healthcare decisions. So protecting independent pharmacies is critically important. As I discussed earlier, we have the ongoing 6B study to which I'm devoting substantial resources as well as law enforcement. We have the resources to complete the 6B study. We have the resources to carry on law enforcement. Part of that has to do with shifting resources away from rulemaking, which I don't think the FTC should generally be focusing on.
But you're also engaged in litigation.
That's
and
right.
Of course, I know you can't discuss the specifics of the litigation, but are you actively pursuing that litigation to make
Absolutely,
sure that—
Congressman.
Okay, thank you very much on that. Let me try to reclaim my time and talk about our grocers and our pharmacies. Under the helm of Chairman Khan, the FTC filed the first Robinson-Patman Act enforcement action in decades. And I've heard from independent grocers in my district that have had a hard time competing in rural environments because of the spending power of their bigger competition. In far too many cases, grocery stores have had to close because of a lack of profitability, leaving behind broad swaths of food deserts in rural America, and 50% of my district is rural. Can you give me an update on the FTC's enforcement of the Robinson-Patman Act and what future plans you have for enforcement of this federal law, and whether or not within the sphere of what you're asking for resources, you will have those?
So we have two ongoing litigation, and I can't obviously discuss the specifics of the litigation. I've written pretty extensively on the Robinson-Patman Act as a minority commissioner. I think that the decision that the government made in the 1970s to quit enforcing it was bad. It is a law. It is a law passed by Congress. The executive branch's job is to enforce the laws passed by Congress, even if there isn't full agreement on the policy underlying those laws. I do think, however, it is very important that when the FTC brings Robinson-Patman enforcement actions, that it doesn't do it in a way that could elevate the costs that consumers have to pay for goods, which is a risk when you bring Robinson-Patman enforcement cases. And so my view is that with the commission should not bring Robinson-Patman Act cases unless we know that the beneficiaries of the discrimination have market power that they can use to hurt consumers. I think that's the time that the commission should bring Robinson-Patman Act cases. So because my job is to enforce laws that this body has passed, I am open to bringing Robinson-Patman Act cases. But like I said in a previous dissent, we have to do it only in circumstances where we are very confident we will not be raising prices.
So you're not
for
confident
consumers.
of that that's the case now?
Well, I think it depends on particular markets and particular market participants. I'm open to bringing these cases. I'm open to using resources, but I'm not going to bring cases unless I'm very confident that that case will not increase the prices the consumers have to pay in the marketplace.
Okay. Well, there are some pending cases.
Yes, we've got two going right now.
Okay.